in the Bible, every time somebody was expecting a miracle or a change in their lives, they had to position themselves. When I'm talking about positioning, I'm talking about a mental positioning, a spiritual positioning, and a physical positioning. No miracle, no change takes place unless somebody has positioned himself spiritually, mentally, and physically. Then the miracle begins to take place. Today, we will draw our scriptures from the Gospel according to Mark chapter 10. There is an instance here. Jesus was due to pass by Jericho. When he came to Jericho, moving with his disciples, a great number of people were there. And then there was a blind man by the name of Bartimaeus. He began to hear that Jesus was coming to that place in Jericho. He had a situation, and he desired change in this situation that he was in. He needed a miracle. He needed the restoration of his sight. But the issue is, upon hearing that Jesus was passing by, he then positioned himself to receive this miracle. For him to position himself, the first thing that happened, he had faith that if he got the attention of Jesus, his healing was inevitable. He was going to get his healing as soon as he gets the attention of Jesus. In other words, he knew that for him to get that miracle, he had to position himself mentally and spiritually by having faith that when he gets the attention of Jesus, when he puts his petition before Jesus, Jesus was going to grant him what he wanted. I'd like us to read this story, read the Bible on this issue. And they came to Jericho. And as he went out of Jericho with his disciples and a great number of people, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the highway side, begging. The first position of this guy, he had to beg because he was not able to help himself. Maybe you are like Bartimaeus. You might not be blind physically, but there are some impediments in your life that are making you to be a beggar than one to be able to move around and do what you can do. You cannot be in a position to help yourself. You need help. This man, Bartimaeus, is sitting by the highway. On the highway, there is a lot of traffic and a lot of noise going on there. People, at that time, there were chariots, there were donkeys, there were all sorts of animals. Things were happening. There was activity going on. And this man is sitting by the highway as a beggar. I don't know what your limitation is, what your impediment is, but there's a place or there are things that you want to see happening in your life that you are desiring, but you are in a state that demands change for you to be able to live life. The problem of Bartimaeus was his blindness. But I want us, in the light of the subject of positioning, I want us to see what blind Bartimaeus did in order to come out of his predicament. He had a predicament. He had a problem. He had an impediment in life. But he had to do something for that to happen, for the change to take place. Probably you are sitting there and you are saying, I'm desiring change in this situation. Just as we are sitting down here, looking at what is happening around, and we desire change. And the places where we need change are different. You have your own situation. I have my own situation. Everybody has their different situation. Yes, of course, we know that the common one is the COVID-19. We desire change from that. But the COVID-19, the problem of the COVID-19 has come with a lot of problems that have been, that we need changed if we are to live life and become productive again. Now, here is this man. So Jesus is coming out. This man is around the highway. Verse 47. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, it suggests that this guy, though he was blind, though he could see, but his sense of hearing was heightened. He heard that something was happening. This blind man was more smart than most men that can see. When he heard the commotion, when he heard the noise, he wanted to find out what was happening. And they told him that Jesus was passing by. And then he took advantage of the fact that Jesus was passing by. Verse 47 is telling us. Then he began to do something to position himself to catch the attention of Jesus. Most of us have heard about an answer, but we don't position ourselves to get the solution to our problems. Even when we are in the proximity or we are in the place where the help can be given to us, but because we are not properly positioned mentally and spiritually, mentally, and then physically. Some of us can be physically there where the action is taking place, where you can find your help. But you can discover that spiritually and mentally, we are not well positioned. We have not made a decision to receive our answer at that time. This guy positioned himself by saying, there's something that I'm going to do to get my answer today. I am going to position myself to get an answer. The first thing that I'm going to do, I'm going to shout. And he started shouting. Let's hear what he began to cry out. That is verse 47. He began to cry out and say, Jesus, thou Son of David, have mercy on me. He shouted. He cried out. All to get the attention of Jesus. Not just to get the attention of Jesus, but to get an answer to his problem. The question that I want to ask you, have you positioned yourself? Let's say help is passing by. Jesus is passing by. Jesus is always ready to answer your prayers, to provide you with the miracle. The problem is, are you positioned? You will discover in the Bible that Jesus is mourning over Jerusalem. He cries for them because they were not ready for their day of visitation. The problem in most cases is not God unwilling to give you what you want, but it is your preparedness. It is your positioning. Are you positioned to receive a miracle in your life? Are you positioned to receive an answer in your life that will change your status in life? This man positioned himself upon realizing, upon hearing that Jesus was passing by. Physically, he was sitting at the right place next to the highway where Jesus was going to pass by. But he had to position himself spiritually and mentally to get the answer that he needed for his life. Then he began to take action because mentally he was prepared. Spiritually, he was prepared to get his answer that day. Now, he started crying to Jesus to get the attention of Jesus. Let's continue and see what takes place there. He cried to Jesus. Verse 48. And many charged him that he should hold his peace. But he cried the more, a great deal, Thou Son of David, have mercy on me. Now, you must understand that for any answer and for any change and for any breakthrough to take place in your life, you will be challenged by those who are around you. Not everybody celebrates your action. Not everybody is pleased by your action. Because people are thinking differently. People are looking at things differently. In other words, the most important person in the whole equation of getting your desires and seeing change is you. You've got to be determined that I will not allow any form of discouragement to stop me from getting what I desire. In other words, the decision, the choice to get the answer lies with you. You must understand that nobody will clap hands for you when you are in pursuit of an answer or a desired position in your life concerning your situation. You must understand that the matter is between you and God. When you are correctly positioned, when you are ready to get that answer, nobody can stop you. And you must understand that people will always carry different opinions. The opinion of the people here was that Bartimaeus was causing a lot of noise. In today's language, you could say Bartimaeus was a nuisance. But Bartimaeus knew what he wanted. And he never allowed the opinion of these people to stop him from his answer. You know, many of us stop ourselves in our progress, in our deliverance, in us getting answers, because we are propelled or we are moved by pleasing other people. We want to belong. We want to be accepted in certain groupings of people. And we yield our lives and ourselves to the opinion of those people. When you study carefully and you observe around you, you will discover that people don't necessarily care. They have their own problems. They have their own issues that they need to solve. But they will air their opinions. If you are not careful, their opinions can paralyze you and immobilize you and stop you from getting the answer that is required. So in the process of getting a breakthrough or getting the desired change in your situation or getting the miracle that you desire, the answer that you desire for situation, you need to press yourself up. You need to be strong. You need to be resolute. You need to make a decision, a strong decision, and be strong in your decision to get that change. Because change doesn't come, or answers do not come. They take you positioning yourself. It takes you positioning yourself attitudinally. Well, we can simply, put it in this bracket. Mentally, spiritually, and physically. Be at the right place at the right time. Be where the action. Be where, or in an atmosphere where things are happening for you. Bartimaeus was sitting by the highway. But by the coming of Jesus, he entered into an atmosphere of miracles. And he took advantage of that. Do you know that miracles are happening all around? But the problem is that we are not always positioned to get that which we are supposed to get. Now, we see this blind man taking advantage of the situation and said, I refuse to be stopped by anybody. I am going to shout. I am going to make sure that Jesus hears me and I catch his attention. Let's continue to see what happened. In verse 48 it says, and many charged him that he should keep quiet. But he cried the more a great deal, Thou Son of David, have mercy on me. It's like when they were telling him to keep quiet, he shouted even more, because you can be silenced by the opinions of people, because people have different motives. Others were there because they wanted to feel important by being in the vicinity of Jesus. Because Jesus was a very influential leader. Jesus was causing change in every situation. And he had a big following. And to be part of that following, people always like to be associated with a situation where things are happening, with a very charismatic and powerful leader like Jesus Christ. They wanted to be associated with that. But the motive of being around Jesus is seen in these people trying to shut this man up. This man had a different motive. His motive was to receive help from Jesus. Their motive was to appear with Jesus. Now they tell him to keep quiet. And this man decides to shout even more. How bad do you want it? How bad do you want the change? Do you want it in such a way that among your peers you can decide to shout and ask Jesus to help you? It is not what people think that determines the change of situations or to get the change that you desire. Things can only change if you position yourself. You make a decision that I'm coming out of this situation. And you make a decision how to position yourself. You position yourself mentally, you position yourself spiritually, and you position yourself physically. And decide that this is what I am going to do to get what I desire. I'm going to come to God. I'm going to shout to God. And once you understand, you are determined to shout and get your answer. Don't allow anybody's opinion to stop you in what you have purpose to do in order to get the answer. This man had purposed that I'm going to shout and ask for help. You know, this man shows us many people, even if they don't know, they will not shout for help. This man humbled himself. And he said, I have nothing to lose. I am blind anyway. I'm making a decision now. I'm going to shout to get the attention of the person that can help me. This story shows us that at times we do not ask help in the appropriate places. This man knew where he could find help. And he shouted for the attention of the person that could give him help. I believe among the people that were there in the crowd, because they said there were many people there. There must have been doctors. There must have been business people, people of affluence with a lot of money and influence. But those people at that time could not help him. He thought in his mind that there are many people. He says, look, I've been here begging. And these people have been passing by in this highway, but they offered me no help. Now the man that will help me has come. You know, the ability to know the right place or the right person who carries your help is very important. Because if you don't know the messenger or your strategic helper, you will find yourself crying in the wrong place, to the wrong places, asking for help in the wrong places. You know, it so happened that when the wise men were going to see Jesus, you know, wanting to worship Jesus because they had understood that Jesus was born. So they took a trip to Bethlehem, where Jesus was to be born. But unfortunately, they went into the house of Herod. They asked help in the wrong place. But the help of God helped them not to return the same way they came. You know, when you do not know the place of your help, you are a person to be pitied, because you will go to the wrong places trying to find help. Fortunately for this blind man, he might have been blind, but he had enough sense to know that the only place where he can get help was in Jesus. And he determined himself that I don't want anything to disturb me from getting the change that I required. I know where the help is. I know who can provide the help. I know I will get my answer today. The people started saying to him, "You are making a lot of noise." And he said, "I don't care." He might not have verbally said it, but his actions were saying that I don't care. You guys have been here passing me, dropping your coins for me, but you never gave me the help that I required. Now, a man who can give me the help is here. And I'm going to shout for the attention of this man, because I know that if I get the attention, I am ready mentally, I am ready spiritually, and I'm at the right place where he will be passing by. And I am going to get the attention for the change that you desire. Who are you asking for help? This man knew that he would rather be at the mercy of Jesus and ask Jesus for mercy instead of asking all these crowds. During that day, a lot of people were very important. They had very big CVs. There were men of letters there moving around, but they could not help this man. All they wanted, they were concerned about their status. And they felt that an important man was passing by. So this blind man that is making noise, he is a nuisance and a menace. Therefore, let's shut him up. But this guy refused. You know, when it depends on you whether you come out of your quagmire or not. The issue is about knowing how to get the attention of Jesus by positioning yourself spiritually, mentally, and physically. This man continued shouting, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." When they tried to say, "Shh, keep quiet," he shouted even more in order to get the attention of Jesus. Now, verse 48, maybe let's move to 49. And Jesus stood still. Have you ever been in a situation where the person that is supposed to help you get their attention in such a way that they stand still? Jesus was moving, but Jesus was stopped by this blind man because of his determination, because of his faith, because of his decision that day to get an answer, to get an answer that would change his situation or his position forever. Jesus stood still. In verse 49, we're told. May I ask you that your faith, position your faith, that God can stand still because you are so determined to get your answer. And it is you who can permit distraction, who can permit impediments by this decision that you take. God is talking to the children of Israel. He is talking to them about choices. He said, I have put before you life and death, blessing and cursing. And he says, choose life. Your choice, your determination, your faith, your resolve that I am getting my answer. You will discover that you will not be denied. There was this woman in the book of Luke, in Luke 18. This woman, was, number one, a widow. Jesus is showing us that when we make a resolve to get what we want, what we need from God, it is our resolve that will determine that, our faith. When we say, no matter what, today I am getting what I desire. The resolve of this man, the faith of this man, the persistence of this man caused Jesus to stand still. I like the King James Version, verse 49. And Jesus stood still and commanded him to be called. And they called the blind man, saying unto him, be of good comfort, rise up, he calleth thee. Now, the people that some minutes ago were shouting at this man, telling him to keep quiet, suddenly, they are now the messengers, or they are now part of the process of the healing of this man. They say, come, he is calling you. But it never started by the mercy of these people. It started by the determination and the resolve of man to get his miracle and asking for mercy and help from the right source. When you go around listening to people's opinion, you won't get the desired change. It must be between you and God. People have many opinions about the situation. They say such a situation cannot change. Maybe highly intelligent people might have come around this man and told him that, look, you were born blind and there has been blindness in your family. This thing is in the genes. So don't expect Jesus to be changing this situation. You need to accept this situation and live with it. But this man had made a decision. This man had made a resolve that nobody will stop me from accessing my help today. I am determined. I am ready to get my help today. Now, if you want to see change in any area of life and see your desires fulfilled and see your prayers answered. You will not get it by pleading for mercy with other people. You've got to talk to God and ask Him to change the situation. But you must have a resolve. You must be tenacious enough to get what you desire. So much so that when discouragement comes in every way to stop you, you begin to shout even more, like this man who shouted for his help, and he caused Jesus to stand still. You know, this standing still is a very serious thing. He is an important man like Jesus, God Himself, who was God, carrying the healing, going about alleviating the griefs and delivering people from their problem. He was solution personified. And this man who is a carrier of all the solution, God Himself going about. But there was a man, Bartimaeus, because of his faith and determination, his resolve, got Jesus to stand still. You know, when you understand Jesus, He was not a man that was moved by noise and everything, but He had compassion. And when this man said, "Son of David, have mercy on me," and he shouted even more, arrested the attention of Jesus. And Jesus stood still and said, "Call him." And they went and called him. Want to see what happened after they called him? And he, casting away his garment, rose and came to Jesus. You know, we are told by history that those who were blind and beggars wore a particular garment so that the people would be able to be courteous to these people and to give to them and know they were identified. You know, this man decided to throw his old identity in order to embrace the new identity. He was identified as a beggar, identified as a blind man who could not help himself. And everybody that was passing by was supposed to help this man. That's why they were wearing this garment. But that day, by faith, this man said, "I am throwing this garment away. I'm embracing a new life." He positioned himself for the new life, because you can't embrace this new thing, the answer, if you are still wearing the garment of a blind man. Which means mentally it's important that you begin to see yourself in the new light. See yourself in the new light in such a way that you can throw the old garment, which means he was throwing away his dependency on people. And now he was embracing a change and a new life. When you begin, the day you begin to position yourself for the miracle and decide and make a resolve, a decision that nothing will stop me, I am getting it, you are going to get your answer. You know, the man, when Jesus called him, he threw away his old garment and he ran to Jesus. And Jesus answered and said unto him, "What wilt thou that I should do unto thee? Now, he has accessed his source of help. And Jesus asks him, what should I do for you? What is it that you desire? Where is the area that is bothering you? What area are you being bothered? What change do you desire? You know, because it's important to ask this question. Because somebody has to know and be decided that I want change in this area. Now suddenly the blind man said unto him, Lord, that I might receive my sight. One of the most important things, what I have decided, where I need help, is that I must have my sight restored. You know, there's just one thing that you need from God, and you must be determined to get it. Forsake people's opinions because they can stop you. Shut your ears from other people's opinions. Keep on shouting to Jesus, because that's where your help is. Even those who wanted to stop you will find themselves coming to tell you that he calleth you. And when he came to Jesus, he had already, thrown away the garment, the sign of dependency, the sign of being a beggar, the thing that was taking away his respect. He threw it away. And then he ran to Jesus. And Jesus asked him. Now let's see. Jesus is asking this man, and this man answered that, what I'm asking you to do for me is to restore my sight. And Jesus said unto him, go thy way, thy faith had made thee whole. Thy faith had made thee whole. Thy faith. Jesus is trying to tell us that the positioning of this man, by his faith and resolve, caused him to receive the sight. You know, it's easy in this world to always blame it on other people. We blame the society, we blame our parents, we blame other people. And yet, the day you make a resolve, your life will change. This man could have said there to blame his parents, blame the genes of his parents, blame whatever it was that was causing him to be blind and become a beggar. But this guy that day determined that I will not make an excuse for this blindness. It has to go today. And the person that is able to deal with this situation is in the vicinity. Therefore, I will take advantage of that situation because I am determined. You know, it is very important for us to determine, to actually observe and understand that it was the determination and the resolve of this man that make a difference. And Jesus says, your faith has made you whole. Your faith, not somebody's faith. Jesus didn't say my faith. He said, your faith has made you whole. In other words, our faith will determine what comes to us, even in this season. Will determine what will change in this season because we have faith. It's not somebody else's faith that will change your situation. It is your own faith. You need to position yourself spiritually, mentally, and physically. And you will see this change taking place. Your faith will make you whole. Now, and immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus in the way. Now, this guy got what he wanted, got what he was determined to get. Today, for you to get the change that you desire, is up to you. Are you well positioned mentally? Are you seeing yourself? Because for a man to throw away his garment, it meant that he already saw himself. He already saw himself healed, his sight restored. Because in your full faculties, in your mind, you can't throw something that you've been depending on for years unless you have seen something new. He was prepared mentally and spiritually. He had the faith for it. He took advantage of the presence of Jesus passing by. He was found at the right place. And he took advantage of Jesus. Could it be that many times all the time, Jesus is prepared to change our situation? But the problem is that we are not well positioned mentally, spiritually, and physically for that to happen. You know, because when you are positioned spiritually and mentally, you will know where to be for the miracle to take place. You will know who carries that miracle for you. Jesus is always ready to distribute miracles, but are we ready? Are we positioned? Are we determined to get what we want from God? Nobody deprives you of what you want until you give them authority to do that. But when you are determined, when you are well positioned, and you've decided and you've resolved that my plight is changing, God will then do it for you. This day, the first thing that I want to challenge you in, are you well positioned for yourself that if you exit this world, and if it so happens that you pass away from this earth, are you confident and secured that you will go to heaven and see God? Can I get to a situation where I'm confident? Where am I assured? Yes, you can. By making a decision to receive Jesus Christ as your personal Savior. When you do that, you become a child of God. Your place is secured in heaven. Your life is secured and you have eternal life. And you know that the day you die, you go to heaven. Maybe you have a situation today where you desire change. Study this story, chapter 10 of the book of Luke, and see what this blind man did. You know, sometimes we desire what people have or what they have acquired, but we don't ask the questions of how did you acquire what you have. Today we've been told that this man made a resolve and had faith. And Jesus said, your faith has made you whole. And then his sight was restored. May God help you. May God intervene in your situation. May God give you the desires of your heart, the things that you've been praying for. May God grant them to you. God bless you. In Jesus' name, amen.